founding members. You're helping me make up the points. Thank you. It's appreciated. Was it easy to log on, find the link, get in?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good. I'm going to wait 2 more minutes. In the meantime, what are you drinking? What do we have in hand?
I hadn't gotten to wine yet, so I'm still on tea. But there's time.
I think it's time, Carol. Lene, ooh.
I'm drinking the recent Last Bubbles, the Philip de Chelles, and I'm not terribly enthused about it, but I always love the Last Bubbles pricing. And I always love champagne.
I mean, yeah, no, not hard, right? At that price, you got to go for it. Hi, Kendall. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for joining. Actually, if you guys want, drop in the chat if you're on mute what you're drinking tonight. I'm cheating a little bit. I know I paired this month's book with a One Stone Pinot Noir Rosé. I drank my last bottle last week without thinking about it. Oops. So I'm doing a Rosé of Grenache sparkling wine from Amista, if anybody in the area knows that one.
Wow.
Because also this is our very first book club meeting, so I'm celebrating a little bit. And if we're celebrating, then I need some bubbles. Most definitely. All right. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to go ahead and officially get us kicked off. I'm nervous. Bear with me here. I started this because I love books and I love wine and I love pairing my wine with my books. And I wanted to build a club that kind of brought those two passions together and then also brought together like-minded women because I love talking about books. I love sharing them and saying, oh, this was a good read. Maybe that wasn't. I love that Carol, hi, shout out, will just like drop off a book at my house and say, you need to read this. And I wanted to continue that. And so we're going to start virtually for now because I want to meet plenty of other people who are like me, love reading, love talking about it, and love wine. So for those of you who don't know me, which I think is a couple, my name is Erin Kirschenman. I am a huge book nerd and have always been. The wine thing is definitely new. If you knew me in high school and even in college, the fact that I ended up in the wine industry is kind of a joke. As Becca can attest, we were drinking Barefoot Moscato by the liter in college. And so, yeah, oops. It was a gateway wine. Who cares?
College budget.
It's college beverage, right? So, and now it's like, it's evolved and I find wine fascinating. I find it fun. And I love that Novel Pairings has turned into a way to bring everybody together. So if you can drop in the chat what you're drinking, where you're coming in from. I just want everybody to kind of get to know each other a little bit. First and foremost, shout out to all of you for being part of the founding chapter. You are part of the very first cohort of Novel Pairings book clubbers, and this would not be possible without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here today. Part of the reason why I've discounted the pricing is because as founding members and as a newly launched business, I'm still working out the kinks. I'm still having like nervousness around whether the Zoom breakout rooms are actually going to work the way that I think they will. And I really want to just get it right. And so I'm going to be leaning on you. Please feel free to send feedback. Let me know what you're liking, what you're not liking, what you want more of. And that's really going to help shape Novel Pairings into something that is useful and exciting for you. So, couple little pieces of housekeeping. While I'm going through that, I'm going to ask you guys, drop in the chat, what do you want out of Novel Pairings? If you could pick one thing, like what would that be? How can I deliver something that is fun and exciting for you that makes you look forward to these clubs? So I would love it if you guys could keep your cameras on. Feel free to stay unmuted because I do want this to be a dynamic discussion. That said, life happens. I have currently shunned my 2 dogs and boyfriend to the dog park so that there is a little less whining and barking. But, you know, if you know something big is going to happen, please go ahead and mute. If you find you're having a hard time getting something out, please raise your hand. There's a nice little button down at the bottom of the Zoom screen. just shout it out and I'll make sure that we call on you. If you don't already have your book and beverage ready, go grab it, please. That's part of the fun of this. And then, yeah, we have just to kind of take care of yourself policy. If for any reason you just want to tune out for a second, you need to turn the camera off, mute yourself, please go right ahead, take care of it. There's, no judgment here. We will be about an hour, I hope. If my agenda works, we'll find out. We might need more time as this goes on. But that's kind of it for the housekeeping. So what we're going to do, we're going to start out in breakout rooms. And I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves, get to know each other, share a couple stories. We're going to come back. I'm going to ask a couple of you if you could share something you've learned about the partner or the person that you've been talking with. Because I know that sometimes it's kind of nerve-wracking to be the first one to speak up. I'm going to assign whoever has the longest hair in the breakout room, you're speaking first. And thank God I had mine cut recently because that's usually me. We're going to come back. Once we come back together, we'll report on it. We'll get into our book discussion. We'll do another short little breakout room and then wrap up. And if you stay all the way through the meeting, I'm raffling off next month's book and wine pairing. So that'll be shipped to you. The next winemaker that we're going to be working with is just absolutely awesome. So I'm really excited to do that. I'll announce what that book and pairing is at the end. Everybody, does that sound good? Thumbs up or just shout it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go into our very first breakout room. Again, person with the longest hair talks first. What I'd love you to do is just take about 90 seconds, introduce yourself, tell us maybe a little bit a fun fact about yourself. But more importantly, I want to tie this back to the book. So if you remember in one of the Samantha chapters, Abby Jimenez wrote about her talking about how she loved the smell of the ocean. She would go there with her mom. They would spend some time. They would stop at Subway, pick up some sandwiches, go have a really, crappy speaker blasting tunes. And that smell always makes her think of home. So I want you to also tell us what scent reminds you of home. What would your homesick candle be? So, okay, let's see if I can do this right. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, we can do this. Let's hope this works. Okay, you should be getting a notification to jump into a breakout room. Go ahead and click on that. There we go.
just talking about you. Did you hear us? Is that what you were listening in?
There was a little bit of listening, and I'm also hopping into every single room just to kind of check it out, make sure I'm able to do this. But also, this is not the way that I envisioned the two of you meeting. So
I didn't. I was like, how do you know? How'd you get into novel pairings? And she's like, well, Aaron lives with my son. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Jill. Like, of course.
And then she shared that she also met Weston. So
yes, but I said he was fine
that day. I'm aware. I'm one of those moms. It's like, I get it.
I mean, you gotta know them, right? Like you love them, but you also are like, I feel like the parents are like, no, my child is an angel and perfect. It's like,
I was a teacher. I know better than to say those words ever.
my goodness. Okay, so I'm just checking in, making sure that I'm able to do this. I figured you guys were the best room to try it on. I'm going to try to jump into another room. Did you both get to share?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, wow, you guys are efficient.
Well, you know, what can we say? Type A's.
I know. I love it. All right, hold on. I'm going to close the rooms in just a sec.
Okay.
It's like so much fun. Hello.
Hi, Aaron.
Oh, you're muted.
I wasn't 2 seconds ago. I'm just jumping in and checking in. How's it going? Have you both been able to share?
Yeah, we're just starting to talk about the book.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, then this is the exact right time to start bringing everyone together. Awesome.
Great.
Okay,
Okay, awesome.
I'm gonna attempt to figure this out.
You can do it.
I can do this.
So we
Okay.
leave.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you should get an alert that says you have 60 seconds left to leave the breakout room. And then, we're going to get like into the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
yay.
nice to meet you.
Yay.
I love when it works.
So we were, as I was telling you, Kendall, we were driving down anyways. I like blew through it and it kind of touched on, should I wait for everyone else to keep talking about this, or can I just keep
I
talking?
want to talk about it, but we're going to start it back up in like 60 seconds. So
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, my
is being recorded.
My grandmother had dementia, and so it definitely like kind of hit home, I think, for me when I was listening to some of the struggles that they're going through. I wasn't a caregiver or anything, but my stepmother was, and it definitely gave me a lot of empathy for her and kind of how she navigated that and everything. And so it's a lot.
So as you can tell, we have one group that jumped the gun. Oh, wait, did I freeze?
No.
No, you're good.
Okay. Whew. All right. All right. Welcome back. Does anybody want to share something that they learned about the person they were in the breakout room with, or what their homesick scent was? I mean, I kind of have to admit that this was a personal question for me, because as she was reading, or as she wrote it and I was reading it, I'm going, that's my homesick scent too. Like, that's what we did. We went to Subway, we went to the beach, and we stayed there all day, like in Los Angeles. So that one hit a little close to home for me. What about you guys?
Well, Jill was telling me that like hers wasn't necessarily like where she grew up, but it was that home, that idea like home is the people you're with. And so hers was more about like sense of Hawaii because it's places she went with her mom. And so it's sort of like, sometimes it is like, for me, like it was sort of remembering like elements of places I've lived where I felt at home. And for her, it was all about the person she was with at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be either. And that's kind of, I mean, that in the book, it's both, right? It's a place they went, but it's also the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
And
For
Carol's was the bread and the rain in the forest, which sounds lovely in Oregon.
Oh, okay. Very specific. I like it.
For Lisa's, it was the smell of baking cinnamon rolls. And now I really want a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, same.
Lisa and Carol, you're making me really hungry right now.
That's what we always make for Christmas for the family. My grandma started it, and then my dad, now me. So it's just that family connection. I think, what really showed up all the way through the book was good. And Catherine's was lilacs and coffee, because that's what her mom has, lilacs growing and coffee brewing in the morning, which sounds great.
Oh, I didn't know that, Catherine. Aw.
Yeah.
I love that. Heather and I didn't even get into the sense we were just talking about how excited we were.
Yeah.
And I learned that Heather loves audiobooks, which I think is amazing because I listen to audiobooks and I have no idea what happened. I can't even tell you. Like I'm such a visual person. And so that's something I wish I could be better at is listening to audiobooks. So she told me she just blew through the book in a drive down to Dana Point. And I was like, that's amazing. You get to go somewhere and enjoy a book. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I have to be careful with my audiobooks too, kind of for that reason, because like I can get so engrossed in the audiobook that if I'm driving at the same time, I kind of am not paying attention to the road. So that is it's probably better that I don't listen to audiobooks, but that's okay. All right. Well, you guys are
Oh, sorry
sorry,
to interrupt. I was just really quick gonna say, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Nona's on Netflix, but it reminded me heavily just the homesick sense. It totally made me cry this week. It was so sweet of a movie. And just seeing that him being homesick for his Nona trying to start a restaurant to capture that beauty of family and food and then smell. And so when I was reading this book, really sweet overlap in that way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So now, yeah, we're definitely going to get into the talking about the book because obviously this one has left some impressions on all of us. Just quick show of hands, like who has read anything from Abby Jimenez before? Oh, okay. This is exciting.
I've read everything she's written, basically. So I'll read it for all of you. That's
What would you recommend reading next of
Ooh,
hers?
I think my favorite, I have one book of hers I haven't read yet, and there's one that's called The Friend Zone. That one's pretty fun.
That was her first book.
I love that one. I thought that one was really good.
So fun fact, Abby Jimenez is actually the owner and baker of Nadia Cakes in Minnesota. And so all of her books are set in, her home state of Minnesota. But she went on Cupcake Wars and won. And that's how I found out about her and that she was an author. And that sent me down the Abby Jimenez rabbit hole. So she's got a ton of great books that are really emotional. And a lot of them touch on very sensitive subjects. Like it was kind of mentioned earlier, that dementia was an issue in this book. Others deal with endometriosis, other mental health issues. So it's just, if I would highly recommend going down the Abby Jimenez rabbit hole. And they're good audiobooks too. Whoever she gets to narrate always does a really good job. So we're going to let you guys kind of like decide how this book discussion is going to go. I'm going to throw out a starter question, but then I'm just going to sit back and let y'all talk about it however you like. Like go wherever you want, have some fun. Again, raise your hand if you feel like you want to jump in there but are having a hard time, and I'll come in and grab the bull by the horns and like make that connection for you. But the first kind of question I had was just, first impressions matter, right? This is the first novel pairings event. Xavier and Samantha met for the first time, and it was quite an interesting meeting, one could say. What were your initial thoughts on these characters? And then, like, how did that perception evolve and change? Because we're kind of going through that with Samantha and Xavier at the same time, right? Their first impression is one thing, and it changes over time. So I'm going to throw it out there if anybody would like to start. What were your first impressions of the characters?
You might have to pick somebody to go first.
I know. I'm like, who's got the shortest hair?
I would say like, something I noticed is definitely like first impressions change. Like there was initial positive, then it went really negative, then it went positive. Like, so there was a lot of like back and forth. And it's sort of like the fact that, you shouldn't rely on that first impression and that it can really evolve. Like they love each other, they hate each other, they love each other. Like the first like week or two was definitely a little back and forth of like, this guy's great, this guy's awful. So I think that was a really interesting way they sort of played that.
I really liked how it so Pride and Prejudice is my favorite book. I really liked the whole first impressions of like, oh, we've got our little Miss Darcy, we've got our Lizzie here. But also too, I can't help but make comparisons to Rhysand and Feyre in Akatar because she just brings it up right there. And that's exactly how this is. It's you've got to love those hate turn to love relationships. I feel like I really like those kind of books and how things can evolve and are ever changing.
Yeah, I kind of liked how I feel like they had like immediate chemistry. Even though their first impressions of each other were like, oh, they're really attractive, and then like immediate like, oh, she's flighty or whatever, and like irresponsible pet owner, and he is this like grumpy guy, whatever. And they kept kind of playing off this fact that he's this like grumpy kind of old man, like, vibes, like and then but they're still like so immediately attracted to each other. And so they had so much chemistry right away that they felt comfortable sort of saying these things that you wouldn't necessarily say to the person that you just met. Like you wouldn't necessarily say, even if somebody's being like an asshole to you, maybe, I mean, I wouldn't immediately be like, you're being a dick. Like, and, but I really admire that about her. And I feel like it really spoke to this immediate, like kind of snap attraction that they had with each other and this immediate kind of comfortable vibe that they had and all that. I did feel like it was a little bit, I just for context, I haven't dated in a very, very long time. I've been married for a really long time, and my husband and I have dated since we were 19 and 20 respectively, um, and so I don't know how dating is these days, but it felt a little bit unrealistic how like immediately respectful he was of her person and space, but also being very like protective of her and I don't, it felt a little unrealistic to me, but I was also kind of like, but this is a dream world of fiction. And like, that's what fiction's supposed to be is this, I don't know. Anyways.
I definitely had a moment of he's like, there's no way that he's Rhysand. Rhysand doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some suspension of belief was needed to kind of get over the hump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I liked it. I liked being along for the ride. And all that. But I definitely had to like take a moment where I was like, this is fiction, this is not real. Like, in sort of believing him immediately like jumping into the lake for her or wherever he jumped into and to get her phone and all the things. It was I know. But maybe it's just because like I know my husband would do that, but I just don't believe like a stranger would do that on the first date. It's
I also kind of want like his therapist because he seems very well adjusted for somebody under 30. And especially considering what he went through.
Yeah, especially with abusive parents. Yeah, I'm like, how are you such a like normal person? Yeah.
Yeah, should we dive into the family aspect of all of this, right? I know Abby Jimenez is really well known for like how emotionally healed her characters are, but you see a little bit of that journey as well, right? With Xavier, it was standing up to his parents, or not standing up to his parents, but making a choice for him and not whether it would prove to his parents that he was a success or not. That was something that I really enjoyed because I feel like I tend to make those decisions. Will mom and dad like be proud of me for this? Will a friend judge me for this? It was kind of refreshing to see in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely saw some parallels between is it called the Duke and I? It's the first book in the Bridgerton series.
Yeah.
Where Simon and Xavier are both sort of building their life in a way that's sort of like getting back at their parents or, in Simon's case, his dad. And I was really, really, I was like, God, please do not have this, the like miscommunication trope, because miscommunication trope is like my least favorite thing in a book, that and surprise pregnancies. But like, I really like that parallel, and seeing how Xavier handled it versus Simon, and like how he was able to kind of with his guide of I forget his name, the older veterinarian, kind of be like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you letting them run your life when you know that you're supposed to be with this woman? Just really, really love that.
Oh my God, that tugged on my heart too when it turned out he was the vet who'd helped with
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I'm gonna just start crying immediately.
I was driving home and I was like crying.
But in a small town, that could happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, it was so logical. I loved seeing Hank's input in his life. I feel like young people today are not given the liberty to actually fail. It's not demonstrated how to do it well, and how to overcome and how to move on. It feels like anybody that's in their 30s or lower, it's like you're not allowed to make mistakes, you're not allowed to do anything. And I read Hank's speech to him and I was like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is wonderful. This is what every young person needs to hear. Maybe 40s and below.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's okay to fail.
It is. It's part
And
of
it's good for you. You learn.
Yeah.
You do learn.
Mhm.
I was telling my breakout session that I'm going through an amicable divorce, and so I am keeping the house very clean as we get it sold. But a lot of lessons learned in the last 6 months, and a lot probably continued. And I appreciated that Xavier kind of took what Dr. Hanks said to heart, but also kind of ruminated on it and didn't just take it, at one level, but really internalized it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that he took his time to make that decision, because again, like you have to suspend some disbelief when you're reading books like this. But I was like, God, I really hope he doesn't just like immediately get on a plane. Like I really want him to like mull it over and waffle about it for a second. And even though we don't see it on page, you know that it's happening and that he's like getting his affairs in order and thinking everything through to make it the best possible move and scenario for them and building their life together.
I feel like I need to like pin Hank's speech on my computer every time I have like the imposter syndrome. Like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
And am I not?
Exactly.
It's okay.
But we try. Yeah. And then there's third and fourth careers. And then there's, hopefully not third or fourth husbands, but you can always like reinvent yourself, right?
Yeah.
Should we skip over to Samantha and talk a little bit about her? Because first off, I kind of wish that the mustard thing were real. I can't imagine many brands would ever let somebody do that with their accounts. But I kind of do still.
Fast food ones get real snarky, and I am here for it,
especially on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, a quick aside: is anybody watching?
Is a great place for that.
Yeah. Anybody watching what the national parks are doing right now on TikTok?
They are definitely that way. They shade people all the time. It's amazing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just had to throw that one out there.
But I also liked that the work that she did for the mustards campaign was really well done, I thought. It wasn't just half-assed by the author, like it was actually very, very well done, even within the context.
Yeah.
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 I admit I don't know anything about mustard, so I'm going to take you at your word.
Oh, not mustard. I'm more like into social and the way they interact. She interacted.
Yeah.
Mustard. No.
Yeah. 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 I liked that. It was a nice touch. I'm a social media consultant for wineries, and so it was cool to kind of have that connection point with the main character and be like, oh yeah, like I do that sometimes too. And yeah, and I agree. It was really well done. It felt very well researched. Like it was, yeah, kind of like that's how it is when you are a marketing person. Like, I do wish we could have seen more of like the behind the scenes of her like coming up with the ideas and all that. But yeah, that's just me.
She was so sassy, and it was so much fun to see somebody break the rules.
Yeah.
It made me want to try to like mustard. I mean, I don't. I really don't. It made me want to, She did her job well.
Very good at her job.
I just appreciated that it was a woman who cared about her career, because like that was me in my 20s. I was so career driven that I didn't think about much else. It was, what's the next thing that I can do to advance? And like, I have a goal and I'm going to get there. And it was nice to see in a romance novel, or really any novel, just a woman who can be there for her family, who can date somebody, who can be friendly and still like advance. And so that for me, that was what was most exciting about that.
Yeah.
And can swallow her AirPod.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about suspending disbelief.
Oh.
I'm like, while asleep, you swallowed honey.
And hearing the playlist through her stomach.
Yeah, come on, Eileen.
Who else had Come On Eileen stuck in their head for like a week after this book?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. I mean, that would be horrors, like to listen to that for hours and hours.
Yeah.
The version by the band that kind of redid it is also really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if like 8 hours of that is something.
No.
Right.
When they're
the 4-second pause.
Room and that's on for hours, I'm like, that's too much. One time through, all good. But like for 8 hours,
Exactly.
No. There's very few songs I like enough that I'm not sure what I would like to listen to for 8 hours on repeat. You gotta really like a song.
But not that one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And like it was probably super loud in that room too.
Mhm.
It was supposed to be this like celebration, and then they're like gonna open the door afterwards, but so it was just on repeat at super high volume, probably at 11.
Like CIA torture, don't they do that to like blast loud music endlessly?
Right.
It's
Keep
like
you
the
awake.
beginning of that.
Bonding. Definitely bonding.
Sorry, like now I'm just imagining that. I couldn't imagine being stuck in an escape room. That's the other thing I had to suspend disbelief on. It was like that first chapter. Come on, nobody would leave anybody locked in there, but that's okay.
Right.
So the next generation of workers, I feel like it could happen.
Yeah, I feel like with bored teenagers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who like do not give a shit at
Exactly.
all.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the main characters. Who were some of your favorite side characters? Because I felt like all of the side characters were really nicely developed, and like I kind of wanted to be friends with a couple of them.
Yeah, her brother was
Brother.
one of my favorites for sure.
I don't know if I'd like being related to him though.
He was hoarding all the wine in the basement, so he was the keeper of the wine.
You definitely want to be
know what he
keeper
was
of the
drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a brother. I mean, I have a stepbrother, but like we didn't grow up in the same house, so it's not the same relationship. So I don't know how that sort of sibling dynamic works. And if you're really just like, I've seen enough videos on TikTok though, like of brothers coming in, turning the light off and like farting and then leaving. But I just don't I don't know. I'm like, it makes me wonder like what my relationship with him would have been. I feel like I don't know, maybe we would have like got along. I don't know. Or maybe we would have hated each other. I don't know.
Probably a lot of eye rolling.
Yeah, probably.
But he bought her the ticket.
He bought her the ticket. Yeah.
Which that's the biggest miscommunication trope. As soon as I saw her jump on the plane, I went, "Oh no!
Yeah,
I know he's gonna be all
he's
so
coming to
angry."
visit her.
Oh my gosh! But I really loved the older sister too.
Yeah.
She like the fact that she was just essentially a single mom to two adorable boys. It sounds like, and it's kind of like fighting to keep everybody together, even though she did get a little bit petty. I felt myself in that one just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I won't lie.
The way that they were talking at the beginning, I thought it was before we learned that they were sisters, I thought that was her best friend. Talking about first impressions. My first impression was that they were best friends rather than sisters. And then I found that, oh, mom, oh, it's your sister. I'm like, okay, that's the relationship that I have with my sisters, best friends. So that felt very like parallel.
I like the development of the dad. I liked how real that was because, in that situation where you've got somebody with that level of dementia and you've got somebody else who doesn't have it, who is the constant caretaker. I've seen that played out. and to see him move on and yet not bring the family with him, that felt so real. And he was a genuinely lovely human. He was a wonderful person, and he made choices that he needed to in order to continue to do what he was doing. It wasn't said exactly what exactly he was doing, but I think the illusion was genuinely lovely, because that's a very, very hard situation. And that's the trickiest thing. I think that's, if I had one criticism about the book, it's not even a criticism. It's more like understanding that when you have that level of dementia, not everybody can do those things. That was the most unrealistic thing. I could see the love story. I could see all of those other things. But that was the hardest thing. And when dad started going away in the night and maybe having meetings with somebody and whatnot, I thought, oh, thank God, there's some actual genuine reality here. And I thought that was precious. And hopefully it gives people permission to live through this with their humanity intact and not be super focused on trying to be the perfect husband or the perfect wife or the perfect whatever. So I think he was like one of my favorite characters in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Did
felt a lot of sympathy for him.
yeah. Did anybody see or read This Is Where I Leave You by Jonathan Franzen? That's another one that deals the roles are reversed. Right, the husband is the one who has a mental disorder and is slowly passing away, and the way that they portray is that the wife ends up falling in love with her neighbor, and he condones it. He said, I can't do the things that, a normal husband would. If you are finding comfort and happiness with somebody else, I get it. I just want you to be happy. And so I love seeing that portrayed in media too. That's another great book about a very dysfunctional family sitting Shiva after their father's death. And the movie's actually pretty good too, I will say. So that's worth a read. I'm looking at time. Any last thoughts about the books? About the book, excuse me.
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
That was
Good read.
that's gonna go on my reread list for sure.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, good. Yay. Okay. I was
Yeah.
worried that like picking a romance novel, it wasn't very smutty, so that was part of the reason why I was okay with it. But like I'm still gauging the level of smut that's okay for book club.
It was
No,
fine.
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. I was worried because like I admit I was not a romance reader up until COVID. And then I needed books that had happy endings in like literally every sense of the phrase. So I'm really glad to hear that it was liked and enjoyed. Okay. I'm going to do one more quick breakout room with everybody. And I want to linger on Tristan because this is a book and wine club. And if we don't talk about Tristan hoarding all of the wine, we have failed as a book club. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break you out into groups just the same way that I did before. Hopefully you get somebody new. I'm crossing fingers that the algorithm works for me here. I want the person with the shortest hair this time to speak first. And I want you guys to answer this question. If Tristan showed up to book club tonight, what bottle of wine would you hope that he brought up from the cellar basement? And if it's not wine, pick another beverage. But like, I know there's a lot of wine people in this chat. I feel like we can come up with something really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me make sure I do this right again. Because like everything has disappeared on Zoom now. Okay. Let's do this one more time. Recreate. Okay, let's jump into those rooms and come up with the best possible wine choice.
and flirty and fun, and I could see him pulling some cool bottle, but you're right, maybe he wouldn't even know or fully appreciate.
Yeah, I feel like it would be one or the other. It would either be completely intentional or just like whatever, but it's all just really good.
Yeah, either like, oh, I'm the best and let's grab all of the attention.
Mm-hmm.
So bring the flashiest, sparkliest bottle, maybe the labels, super freaking sparkly. Or Rebecca had the best answer. She was like, I think Tristan would bring an old, perfect vintage of Burgundy Pinot, but not even really know what it is and be like, oh, here, whatever. I just brought something for family time. And then everyone would be like, oh my gosh, that's such a flex. Wow, what? What the heck? And kind
Yeah,
of
that
land it
sounds
without even
interesting.
trying.
Yeah. Becca, did you manage to finish reading the book?
I did. I finished it last night.
Nice.
I am so proud of you. Becca's moving, by the way. So, like, the fact that she got any reading in, I'm really proud of her.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm exhausted from like packing and then being like, all right, shower, get 100 pages in before going to sleep, and definitely wake up and being like, why is this so hard? It's not even like I was up hurting. I was just up later than usual reading. And why is this so difficult right now?
Oh my gosh.
But, all right. We're here.
Well,
we did it.
you.
I'm
Proud
not
of
going to
you.
show up not having finished the book. I was like, I cannot be that person. I will not be that person.
It's
no
okay,
shame to that
Catherine
person.
didn't read
I
it.
don't want to be that person.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Catherine didn't. All right, I'm gonna close
I
the
couldn't
rooms.
put it down. Honestly, if I was moving, I totally I give you every pass in the world, but I couldn't put it down. I read most of it in one day. I was just like,
It
that's
went
my first
quickly.
Abby Jimenez book. I was like, wow, she's an amazing author. Okay, gotta read everything.
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised with it. I'm sure Erin can attest or imagine that this is by no means my kind of book. This is not the usual thing that I read. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. It's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be offensive in any way, but probably not gonna like love it. But it was actually much more than I was expecting. And
That's cool to be surprised.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, it was nice. And yeah, it went quickly and I was like, okay. And then looking, being like, oh, I've gotten 100 pages in, and being like, okay, so that's not a bad pace. And like, it's only roughly this much time. And okay, cool. 100, I can 100% do this.
And you did.
I'm gonna pop out. You guys can
Okay,
continue
yeah.
for another 33 seconds if you want.
Okay.
Amazing.
This meeting is being recorded.
I need to figure out how to turn that off. That's so jarring. Okay. So I jumped into a couple rooms, but I'm curious. I need to know what people thought. So Kendall, why don't you share what you, and actually Rebecca, why don't you share what you guys came up with?
So I would like to think that we nailed like basically the two sides of the spectrum that I would be. So my answer was that he would bring an incredible bottle, perfect vintage of like Burgundy and Pinot, not knowing what it was. It's just like, oh, I just grabbed this. And you look at it, you're like, okay, so do you know what this is? And also start grabbing glasses, like, let's open this. And then Kendall's answer, which also felt perfect, of like vintage, like rosé champagne, probably something that's like beautiful bottle or some really catchy, eye-catching label, and being like, oh no, like I'm gonna be the person bringing like the best bottle to the thing. And it both scenarios feel accurate.
Yeah. 100%. Ooh, I like them. Now I want a Pinot. Jessica, what did you guys come up with?
So I'm going to defer to Heather on this one because honestly, I had not heard of it, but the way she described it, I was like, I need this immediately. So
Oh, well, I thought that he would bring like a Chinon, like a Cabernet Franc. And it's partly because I think that like I think it's very like parallel to who he is as a person. Like Chinon Cab Franc is really it's spicy, but it's also like it always reminds me kind of a little bit of like Sangiovese and that it has that great acidity to it as well. And so it's like I find that Chinon's really great on its own, but also food pairing wise, it's really good. And he's this savant, like he's like good at everything that he like touches things and he's good at it. And I feel like that's kind of like Chinon, where it's like this really it pairs really well with a lot of things. It's really food friendly and but it's also like spicy and kind of acidic and like this kind of, really interesting wine. And I also think that he would bring this to book club because he'd want something that's sort of people friendly, but also wants to bring something that's like kind of obscure, but like not obscure at the same time. I don't know. I feel like he's Shinon, I feel like is like a wine nerd's like nerdy thing. And I feel like if he is down there with the wine, he knows something about wine. Yeah.
Hey, you guys are making me really thirsty, but like in the best way possible. And Heather knows how much I love Cabernet Franc, so like you're speaking to my soul. Thank you. Lene, what did you two come up with?
I said an aged Chardonnay, like he's kind of pulling it out of the cellar, and you don't always think about that, but California Chardonnay can age and does, and he would have kind of had to tuck it away from himself, maybe bought a few bottles and drank most of it, but one was kind of hanging out in the back, and it'd just be perfect for book club. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that one. Aged Chardonnay convinced me that I can like some Chardonnays.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has, I know Jill's looking at me like I'm crazy, but like a really good old Burgundian, that changes my mind.
Yeah.
I am definitely not no offense to those who love it, but I am not a Rombauer girl. Yeah.
Rombauer is more restrained than it used to be. So
Oh, okay.
just shouting out for that. It's not what it was in the 90s, so feel free to taste it at some point. They're doing a good job up there.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that makes me really happy to hear that they're evolving the taste just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we don't need any more like buttery shards. I know they set the category, but like it's nice to see something else too. All right, Lisa, what did you two come up with?
Oh, we were nodding at the first wine suggestion because I was thinking he would bring something kind of to show off, maybe not knowing what was there. And something that like I always would love to be able to afford and drink all the time is Krug champagne. And I can't, there's no way I can afford to drink that, but he might find a bottle in the cellar and bring it to show off or something like that. And then Jill was thinking exactly like an old Bordeaux, something, super expensive and rare and old. And, again, bringing it either because he had no idea what it was or to show off what he had access to.
Yeah, absolutely. Oof. Okay, so if I ever do get a Krug champagne, I will share it with the group. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
You're all gonna have to come out to Sonoma, but we're gonna share it.
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm looking at the clock and I'm trying to be really respectful of time. Does an hour feel like it's a good amount of time for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're gonna kind of wrap up. Oh, that's weird. It's like time to bring it all to a close. Okay, so I'm going to drop a prompt in the chat because I am going to be picking all of your brains for at least the next couple of months while I dial everything in. But I want to know, what do you like about the newsletters? What do you want more of? Because I am trying really hard to make sure that I am not just spam in your inbox. I want it to be something fun and exciting that you actually look forward to every week. As somebody who gets a million newsletters that she doesn't entirely know how she got on the list for, this is one that's really important to me. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to take all of that into consideration. I'll be dropping some challenges, some creative prompts. The May journaling prompts are up in the members room, and I'm going to be launching June's on June 1st. But I'm really, really excited to announce next month's book, Yellowface. This was the book that on audiobook made me like audiobooks. So I highly recommend audiobook if you are a listening reader. And we are going to be pairing that with limited editions Old Vine Skin Contact Pinot Gris. So limited edition is started by a master of wine named Bree Stock. And she's up in Oregon, and she is doing everything but Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. She's looking for some of the more offbeat varietals. And the reason that I picked this one is because it's an orange wine. It's unconventional, a little bit controversial, very striking and distinct style of wine. And that is everything this book is. Razor sharp satire, challenges your assumptions, talks about plagiarism and the publishing industry, which are near and dear to my heart. Becca, I think this one's actually like right up your alley too. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this one when we do read it. So that's what we're going to be pairing it with. What else was I going to say about this one? I'm going to put this up in the current pairing section of the members room as soon as we get off of this call. But like I said, I did promise a raffle, and I found a fun little wheel spin thing online. And so I'm just going to give it a really quick spin to see who gets a copy of the book and some of the wine. And Lene, you are the winner.
Yay!
So Lene, can you do me a favor and drop in either the chat or shoot me an email your mailing address? And remember, I'm shipping wine, so it has to be somewhere that
I will send it to the office. Yes.
Yeah, you need somebody 21 and up to sign for that.
They are very used to it, our office.
I know. I have all of mine shipped to my office, and sometimes I wonder what they think of me. Catherine, don't tell me what they think of me with how much wine shows up there. Okay, perfect. So save the date. The June book club meeting will be June 29th at 4 p.m. It's a Sunday. I will throw out some polls to see what kind of days work in the future, but for the first 3 months, I just picked dates that worked. Oh, sorry. Did I hear somebody? Oh, okay. No, I'm just echoing. My bad. And then I have another really fun one. June 14th at 9:30 a.m. It's a Saturday morning. Kathy Hoya, she is a data expert in the wine industry, but she's also just a wellness practitioner. She does a lot of guided meditations, and she's going to be doing a guided meditation for Novel Pairings members. So we'll start it off with like a little bit of discussion about meditation, do's, don'ts, how to get out of your own head when it starts running, because that's definitely my head too. We'll go into a 30-minute guided meditation, and then we'll just wrap it up and then set us out on the weekend, hopefully feeling a little calmer and a little less stressed. And for this one, because I love Kathy so much, and she's so good, she has the most soothing voice out there. If you guys would like to bring a friend, I'm going to pass out a code so that you can get them into that meditation as well. So hopefully we have a nice little group, just kind of setting the stage for a positive, hopefully sunny weekend. I don't know. It's been weird out here in Sonoma.
Is it in person?
No, it'll be on Zoom.
On Zoom. Okay.
Yeah, on Zoom. Everything is going to stay on Zoom for a little bit. Eventually, I'm really hoping that I can start to incorporate some more in-person meetings, but since everybody's kind of all over the place, I don't want to break up the community just because you don't live nearby. But we're getting there. It's coming. I promise. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the inaugural Novel Pairings.